Guys, if
We
anybody is
are
still here,
now live.
so if you guys do watch my channel, you do probably now realize that I am technologically unfit. There's nobody watching, so we're gonna have to wait for a minute. Oh my God,
No, we are
Stan.
we are currently live right now. This is really funny. So me and Luke actually started at 7 p.m. tonight. And what actually ended up happening was we were just talking to ourselves for about 20 minutes until we realized that we actually weren't live at the time. So if you guys can hear us in the chat, just let us know down below and say, hey, we're finally live because now we're finally here. That would be awesome just because, I think we're a little bit technologically challenged here. Uh, Anyone on the
Guys,
chat, just let us know.
this is all my fault. So, like, if you just tuned in, Stan said we went live at 7 o'clock and we talked to ourselves for 23 minutes. So until I started reading some of these comments, and nobody flat out said, "Hey, you're not live," but we finally got it. We're back, guys. Welcome to our live now, and as
You
you
know
can
what's
see,
cool
I
though
have.
is we
Go
could
ahead.
act. We had like a 20-minute dry run where we just like talked over like the first topic. So
Good
now we're gonna be
practice.
good when we go back and do it over again for the viewers, which is gonna be really really good.
Great practice. Great practice. And guys, super apologize for that. If you watch my channel, you know this is the technology part is challenging for me. So tonight I have on the channel a very special guest, Mr. Dr. Stan the Credit Frog.
How's it going, guys? It's good to be here. Also, Uncle Luke, thanks for inviting me. And it's been a great time seeing you and actually the New Orleans content creator meetup and the creator meetup in general, and also meeting a lot of you there live as well. So it was really great to do that, and hopefully do that again real soon. But we're back here with a lot of good news actually on the docket for today.
We do have some news, and thankfully for you guys, we already went over some of it. So like you said, we had a dry run. We have a couple of things. Have you guys heard this latest news about Amex nerfing the Uber credits?
Yes, I've heard about it a little bit, but why don't you go ahead and give us the rundown on it?
So this is the way I read it, and this is the way it was explained to me by someone way smarter than me. Previously, with the Uber credits on the American Express Consumer Gold and Consumer Platinum, Consumer Gold had a $10 credit. The Platinum had a $15 monthly credit. That was $35 in December. And that credit went on to your Uber account. So if you ever ordered Uber Eats or an Uber, it would deduct that money first, and then it would charge whatever payment method you had as your primary payment method. Simple enough. We complain about the credits having to use them once a month, but that was pretty simple. It seems now that American Express has changed this system into you can only redeem the credits when you use that particular card. So not only can you not use a different primary method when paying for your Uber or your Uber Eats, it sounds like if you use your gold card to redeem your credit, you may end up getting a statement credit days later, like the rest of the credits, or you at least have to use that gold card to redeem that credit. What that means is you have to use the platinum and the gold each for those credits. So no longer will you have a $25 credit to get a couple of burritos. You're going to have a $10 credit, and then you're going to have to make another Uber Eats purchase with your platinum card. So we talked about this in the warm up. We were practicing, but Stan, what do you think? Does this make is this a nothing burger, or is this another trend that American Express is leading us down this trajectory that we're not interested in going?
All I have to say is American Express is at it again. Unfortunately, they just keep making things more and more complex for us. They always keep adding these statement credits and making them harder to use. And it's kind of a trend that we've been seeing over the past couple of years. I really think some people say it's not a big deal. I actually think it is a big deal because as you look at these statement credits, the more you have, the more complex they're going to be getting. And if you now have an Amex Gold card and an Amex Platinum card, you can't combine those credits anymore. Now you got to do, instead of one Uber charge to get the credits out, you have to get two of them. And so, those two charges can add up very quickly. And if you have multiple Platinum cards, for example, like that's going to make it even more complex too. And so, I'm personally obviously not a fan of this change myself. It's going to be a little more annoying, even for me with just one platinum card. It just is unfortunate they have to make these statement credits harder to use. And, maybe some people may find it just enough to push over the edge to cancel the card, but maybe some people are okay with it.
Yeah, I think Robert J says he doesn't translate that notice like that at all. He says just says you need an Amex card listed as the payment method. I don't think that's Robert. I don't think that's exactly what it says. I think it says you have to use that card to earn the credit. So we'll see. And I would love it for it to not be this way, but the way it was explained to me by someone who I would trust their opinion is you have to use that gold card for your order, and it has to, the whatever is over that $10, you'll have to use the gold card for. So I don't think you just have to have it in your payment system in your list of authorized payments, because if that were the case, you could still use the CSR, which I'm pretty sure is not the case anymore. Chad's Money Minutes is in the house, and Filmo. But Robert, if you find out otherwise, please let us know. I don't think that's the case. And I think we decided when we practiced this that if you're exclusively running, say, the Amex trifecta, and you are someone who is working these platinum credits and these gold credits, I don't think it's going to change your life that much. But if you're someone with 28 cards and you really have to pick your poison as far as which ones to focus on daily, that might push some people over the edge. That might be a little bit too much for a credit a lot of people don't want anyway. And I know a lot of people.
It depends, right? So if you're on that fence where you're almost at statement credit burnout zone, like I think this may push you over the edge because it's just a little too much. Because now you're gonna be like, well, is my Amex card, is my Uber account, is it the right prior method? Did I use the credit this month or the other month? And if I have more than the gold and the platinum and more platinums, do I have to use that card for that card or this card? Like it becomes really complicated. And so that's going to be the big problem as you move forward to see if people really, find that this is too overwhelming for them if they have a lot other statement credits, more statement credits to deal with too, because this is a monthly credit, guys. So you have to do this every month. And if you have more than one of these cards, you have to do this more than one times a month. So on top of the other stuff you have. And so it's going to be interesting to see what this is like in practice, because it's kind of unclear right now. But I feel like if you're on that borderline of the fence where statement credits may be burning you out, this may just push you over the edge.
Yeah, I think it went from something that you might not have liked but was fairly simple to something you might not like and might not be as simple. And I know a lot of people mentioned that, well, I purchased Uber gift cards to load on my app. I don't think that's going to work anymore either, if that's going to be your primary payment method, because using Uber credit will not trigger that credit as far as how I see this revision. So I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think in the comments? Do you think this is a big enough change, or are you already invested in the Amex ecosystem? And I did talk to Stan earlier, and I have an analogy for the path American Express is on. And I think that a lot of folks, especially the folks who are not traveling a lot, and by a lot, I mean more than monthly, if you're not getting those really sweet, savory Amex benefits like lots of fine hotels and resorts, lots of lounge access, if you're not taking advantage of all those, I think you're putting an Amex uniform on every morning, maybe an Amex hard hat, and you're going to work for them because they are having you do what they want you to do. So I'm not sure how this relationship works when you hand over a bunch of money and then Amex tells you what you have to do to get it back. It's tough for me, and this revision is tough for me. I haven't had the consumer gold card in a few months, and I don't miss it. I would like to add that the Saver One still gets 10 times on Uber and Uber Eats, 10 times rewards. So.
Yeah, I mean, like you said before, like if you don't travel and you have an American Express like platinum or platinum card, I feel like it's more just you're prepaying to use the credits. And could you get more than what you paid for? Yes, but it's really about the travel. It's really about that lounge access that really gets you that value of the platinum cards. The more you use the platinum card for lounge access, that's ensuring lounge access. That's where you get that that money from. And I think if you do it that way, that's the best way to go, as opposed to preparing the annual fee, putting on your hard hat, and going to work every day.
Well, Chris Arrington says he quotes the terms and conditions effective, whatever. Uh, in addition to having Uber Cash toggled on, an American Express card must be selected as the payment method. So if it's vague and it just has to be any American Express card, this might not be a big deal. This might be nothing. But if it has to be the card that has the credit, you're going to have to switch that all the time. And John R says he uses Uber naturally, so this is a nothing burger. If you have to switch your payment method every time you jump in that Uber, probably still nothing, but it's not something I'd be interested in doing for $10 a month. It just wouldn't rate on my have to remember scale.
Yeah, we'll have to see what ends up happening with this credit, because the details matter, the specifics matter, but it's not immediately clear how this is going to roll out. So it could go either way depending on how it rolls out. But the way that we see it is that you can't stack these credits together anymore.
Correct.
And you have to use the right Amex card to like have that be used. But maybe it's more general than that. It's hard to tell from that official quote.
Is it just me, or does it seem like American Express is usually more clear on these things?
They usually are, actually. They're usually pretty good about giving you advance notice.
Yeah, after this announcement, we shouldn't be wondering what it means. We really shouldn't. Not from American Express, maybe from Citi, but not from American Express.
That's right.
All right. So
I think we had some super chats in the back, by the way.
Did I miss them?
Recognize those? Yeah.
Oh, Ian Mescal that gave some memberships away. John R. with $2, and Xavier, the man, the New Orleans man, the Big Easy.
That's right. The
$2.
big New Orleans man. Xavier was the man in New Orleans, is what I heard.
Yeah.
And I had the pleasure of meeting him as well. And he's a great guy. So, Xavier, thanks for being such a great supporter of the community.
Thank you, Xavier. And speaking of Amex credits, when we went to go eat at the Roosevelt, and since I didn't pay for my own meal, I forwent my $50 food and beverage credit, and I ended up forgetting to use my $100 experience credit as well while we were in New Orleans. So don't listen to anything I say. Yeah, but we had a great time. That's what matters. David Williams says, I thought you had to use each different American Amex card for Uber. All the cash together would be pretty good, actually. We're going to have to get some clarification on that. Maybe CJ can reach out to Amex since he has a guy there.
Yeah, that's right.
Ezra wants hotel recommendations for Dubai and Moscow. Ezra, if you think someone like me will be allowed to safely visit Moscow right now, you're crazy. Dubai, I like the Atlantis on the Palm, all the way out on the Palm. I also really, really like the Ritz-Carlton in the Marina. I think I've never had service like the Ritz-Carlton in the Marina. I had a butler. We had private beach. It was amazing. I'm going to say Ritz-Carlton, Marina, and Dubai. Fly with Rookie just hit us with a super chat. Thank you, Fly with Rookie.
Nice.
Absolutely appreciate that. Yes. Oh, Filmo left $100 on the table at the Roosevelt. There, well. Oh, and they included the tip in the bill. So Danny Boy just hit us with the super chat. You guys are killing us with the super chat. Very lovely. Thank you.
Yeah. Danny Boy also has the Amex profile pic too. So he's an Amex fan. But I wonder if that's going to affect his thought on Amex. We'll have to see. What do you think, Danny Boy? Do you like or dislike this Uber credit change?
Yeah, I mean, I
hope
for the Amex guys. Yeah, I hope the Amex guys are going to be okay with this. Amex. Oh man, we got the.
That's how I say it. I say Amex.
Yeah, but we got the Boston, Massachusetts, the mass holes in the house. Frank wants to know about the Patriots. Ian's a Patriots fan. Hey, listen, I'm a Bengals fan, but they're awful. No excuses. Just terrible. Worst team I've ever seen in my life. Joe Burrow will play half of those games he signed for. You heard it here first. All right, Stan. We are in round 2. Big Delta card bonuses. Now, you have had a Delta card in the past and you have flown Delta, but you're not necessarily a Delta loyalist. And I think I'm going to fit in that same description. I've had a couple different Delta cards. I'm a big fan of the Delta Sky Clubs, but I live in an airport that is not a hub for anyone. I have no dominant airline. So while I do fly Delta, I can't really give them the loyalty because then as soon as I do that, I'll be on 3 American Airlines flights in a row. So what do you think of just the first one? The Delta Gold consumer card is getting 80,000 Sky Miles, getting the first year annual fee waived, and you only have to spend $3,000 in 6 months. What do you think of that card? Downgrade path to the blue.
Yeah, I think if you are thinking of flying Delta once this year, I think that's a great idea. I mean, it's one of those things where I like having those elevated offers when they're available. Personally, I don't fly Delta at all, and so it's not something I'm personally interested in. But I have a theory about airline credit cards that I've made very clear in a lot of my previous videos of how airline credit cards are really not that great for those who already have status with those airlines because they give you the same stuff essentially. And they're not really that great for people who don't fly them at all, obviously, because you need to fly the flight at least once to make it worth it. So you're left this person that's kind of in the middle ground. You take maybe 1 to 3 flights a year. You're going to get that benefit from that first check bag free. Of course, at the Delta Gold, like you said, no annual fee first year. Very cool. Elevated welcome offer. Very cool. Just for reference, the only Delta card I ever had was the Delta Reserve 747 edition black version back in 2022, I believe. And that was earned 100,000 Delta miles for 5,000 spend. And so if you look at that 2 years ago versus now, this is a really good offer if you can use those Delta Sky miles. And that's kind of how I would focus that welcome offer at this point, is to think about whether you'd actually fly on Delta, and if you can use those miles or you have a trip planned, this would be a good opportunity to do so.
Okay, I have a question for you, but real quick, Brad G just hit us with a lump, a $25 super chat. He says, Luke, did the 185,000 Bonvoy Brilliant inspire you to apply yet? I'm looking at it. I know in your video you had thought of. I'm still looking at it, but I'm in the process. I think I'm in the process of hitting 3 sign-up bonuses right now. So I kind of have to reel it in a little bit, and I'll talk about that here really soon with a new video. Seabass gave us a 5 spot. Seabass, super appreciate you, man. And Todd,
awesome.
a $2. So the guys are loving it. They're loving having the credit frog on the show.
Awesome.
But I wanted to get back to what you said about the Delta cards. Really, just one question. Do you think it's worth taking that the Delta Gold for a ride, knowing that you probably won't keep it long term, and knowing that Delta is probably not going to be high on your list of flights? Do you ever recommend, or do you ever just get a card for that quick, that quick hit of dopamine, that quick 80,000 Sky Miles, and then move on?
Well, I'll tell you something. Like I said before, I got a Delta Reserve card, not flying Delta, just because I liked the way it looked. Right. And so I've done it before, and I'm not going to sit here and say you shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. So if you think, you are able to use the miles in some way, shape, or form, and let's be honest, we all should be, in my opinion, airline agnostic. I really think we should choose the right price for our own situation. I personally, I don't choose to be with Southwest. It just happens that Southwest flies the routes I typically take all the time. Right. So that's why they're my airline. It's not like I chose them specifically, but if United or American flew the same routes, I may choose them if they had cheaper flights. Right. So that's kind of the way I view airfare and airlines in general. And so if you're like a free agent, you tend to book on, Orbitz or Expedia or what have you. And, this is an opportunity for you to try out, the Delta card to see all the miles you can get and see what the nice bonuses are with the priority boarding, with the free check bag, and to really save money that way on a no annual fee card for the first year. Because if you're going to, get that welcome offer and then you can, get rid of it, then you have the welcome offer, you have the experience, and you could free up the Amex slot for something else later on down the line. It's going to take a Chase 524 slot. That's going to be something to think about too. But again, if you have Delta, like some Delta loyalty, something where, you can say, okay, I'll fly Delta at least once this year and be able to use these 80,000 miles, I would do it.
I agree. I wanted to go back just a minute. Airplane Flyer did hit us a two spot also. I didn't want to forget about
All
Airplane
right.
Flyer, and he says he got an upgrade, 120,000 to upgrade from the personal gold to the platinum for 6 Gs and prorated annual fee, and he said yes. Here's the thing, man. I would do that all day. Just I mean, 120,000 MR points is not an insignificant amount of reward. So yeah, we got Cesar Joel's in the house. Mi
Mi
hermanos.
hermano
Yeah.
Cesar. Good to see you, my friend.
What about the other Delta cards? There's elevated offers on all of them, both, well, maybe not the blue, but the consumer and the business cards. I do want to mention that the business cards have a little bit of a higher bonus for twice the spend. So platinum, consumer platinum, 90,000 sky miles for 4,000 spend. And the reserve, we've both had. I've had the business version. You had the consumer, 100,000 sky miles for 6 Gs. I don't think I would recommend the platinum or the reserve unless you had some at least some moderate loyalty to Delta and you knew you had plenty of Delta flights scheduled the next year. But the gold, I think you take a ride on the gold if you
gold one's good. Yeah, I would say with the platinum reserve, I agree with you completely. I think that it's not something I would jump at if I'm not like flying Delta a lot. The thing with the platinum and the reserve is that they have this MQD bonus that you get with each card. That's kind of the draw of the card itself. So if you have, 2 platinums, you get automatic, I think it's silver medallion. And if you have like 2 platinums and 2 reserves, you get like up to gold medallion status. I think that's what it is. And so you can use that to your benefit to get those MQD boosts. And so that would be part of the strategy if you're a Delta loyalist, but that also is going to take up a lot of Amex slots for you too. So I would personally, I know it's hard, but I would personally reserve those for Hilton cards or Marriott cards, depending on the way you want to go. I mean, personally, I'm going to have 2 Hiltons, 2 Marriotts, hopefully at some point. But, if you only have 5 credit card slots with Amex, it's really hard to get those really nice hotel cards if you plan on keeping those Delta cards long term. Having said that, if you do fly Delta a lot, it may have some strategy for you to do that too. So it just depends on your situation and what you want to do with it. But the gold is definitely the one that I would focus on more, just because it's no annual fee and it's pretty good for a low amount of spend.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I do want to mention Jake Muirker is in the house, and John Hare loves the Delta.
Big Jake. All right.
Yeah. But I'm with you, man. Here's my thing with getting these cards to get like a quasi status. So you get these cards to get status like benefits, but you don't fly enough to get status in the first place. So you may not be able to take advantage of those benefits as often as you think. And I do want to mention that in a little while we're going to talk about how my travel strategy is changing, and we'll come back to these type cards, airline cards, when we talk about that. So that's going to be one of our other topics. How my travel style is changing. We're also going to talk about some of the things we've booked lately. But Chad Pennycuff in the house. He lives in Detroit, right? So it's you have a huge Delta presence, and that's understandable, absolutely. And Francisco talks about the 15% bump, and that's also. Ian, no, 166 is not a record. I think 178 or 180 is a record. So usually it climbs as we go. So I think we might hit it tonight. So I tell you what, we can hit the like button, and maybe we'll bring in some other people. I think we'll see.
Hit that like for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
I just passed up. Somebody said the purple Delta looks cool. Now listen. Stan will not agree with me, but I had the purple Delta Reserve card, and I called and got it changed to the dark Delta 747. I stand on that purple card being prettier than that 747 card. Nobody will agree with me, but that purple, I thought I had it sitting here somewhere. That purple card is so pretty.
You know what's funny though is before I canceled my Delta Reserve 747, I did downgrade it to the purple card. Not downgrade. I aesthetically change it to the purple card, so I have both of them.
See, that's nice. That's pretty. That's pretty. thick too, thick boy. All right. So what do we have next, Dan? We have what did you book? Have you booked anything lately, or do you plan on booking anything? I wanted to do this kind of
Mm.
topic every time I do a live because I don't think there's enough um, content out there about actually. I know there's stuff, but it seemed like when we went to New Orleans, people said they really mentioned, "Hey, we'd like to hear about how you book things and the kind of the nuts and bolts of some redemptions." And since I cancel almost everything I book, I'm always booking stuff.
Yeah, so I haven't booked anything recently. I mean, I have my honeymoon set for a couple months from now, so that was done a little while ago. That's the big trip
That's the
to
big
Japan
one.
and
Yeah.
Thailand, which is gonna be really cool. So definitely cover that one on my channel when I get back. We don't really have anything much planned for next year. I think we may go to Walt Disney World sometime in the spring, but we haven't really made like a lot of like bookings for that one quite just yet. But for most of my trips I've done now, they've basically my goal is to get rid of all those free Dutch certificates that I have, as well as get as well as rid of as many Marriott points as I can. I have a lot of them. I had close to 1 million before I booked my honeymoon trip, and I just like evacuated maybe a couple 100,000 for this trip right now. I'm currently in Boston, Massachusetts, for a conference, which is why I could do this live with Luke at this time because typically I'm still working, but I'm actually not doing that today, which is great. And so I did use the miles, or sorry, the points to book this one. And what I've done actually recently, which is something that I never thought I would do, is I actually did buy the points on sale for both
Okay.
IHG and for Hilton.
Yeah.
I know that the common trend is to say buy the points and then book right away. I
Hmm.
wanted to see what the experience was like if I were to book them on sale. So I bought the max amount of Hilton points. I think it was 2,500 for 500K points. I also did the IHG one as well, and so I did the $2,500 for that too. So now I'm sitting pretty on more than 500,000 of Hilton and IHG points. IHG I've used a bunch for the fourth night free. I actually did a lot of good redemptions for the New Orleans trip with IHG because I stayed at the Kimpton
Okay.
when I was there, and so I did a good fourth night free thing. But I noticed that IHG is a lot more powerful than I thought it was, especially when you
Sure.
use the
Yeah.
fourth night free, and
It's underrated.
especially when you use the points and you buy them for half a penny a point, and then you redeem them for 1 cent per point or higher. You're paying for it, but you're really paying for a significant discount on the hotel you would
Sure.
have already paid for. So not necessarily a specific booking, but definitely some in the works. I'm looking at a lot of Hiltons and IHGs in 2025.
Yeah, and I can't agree with you more. I break that speculative purchase as well. The last 2 years, I have maxed out purchasing IHG points and Hilton points. I've always been kind of open about. I do pay for travel. I do purchase points. I like you said, if you're purchasing them for half a penny and you're getting a penny, you're doubling your money.
Mhm.
And I know some people say, I just don't want to pay out of pocket for anything. And I get that. But like it
Yeah.
sounds like you're probably going to get some amazing redemptions. So, and plus, I don't know. I've never had a problem with paying for certain parts of travel. I think I get
Sure.
enough value from the points and miles, but for the reasons why I travel and how I travel, I don't mind purchasing those points. I also purchase Avianca Life miles. I purchase Air Canada Aeroplan points. That might be it, but I did, and I also purchase those when I do sign up bonuses. So I kind of get a double
Yeah.
whammy there. But it sounds like you have an amazing honeymoon, and we met your wife in New Orleans. And by the way, my wife really likes your wife. She said she's really
Oh,
really
that's nice.
cool.
Yeah, well, it
So
was great to meet your wife as well. So that was awesome. To meet everyone's family too was really cool at the meetup.
yeah, she's absolutely my better half. She's the more social, the nicer, the more fun person to hang out with. So we had to bring her there. But I did want to talk about what I booked. I think I booked it yesterday or the day before. Um, I've really cut down my travel, especially the small
Mhm.
stuff. I'm taking a break for the rest of the year, and I'm not traveling
Mhm.
until January. So right now I have a big trip in January, spring break, and then for my summer vacation with the family. I originally booked uh, Rome and Istanbul. I don't know if you watched the news a few weeks ago, but it's kind of a couple news cycles past. But they had some kind of issue with local Turks grabbing U.S. Marines and putting bags on their heads and some other really weird things. So I decided that it
Saw
probably,
that.
yeah, I decided that whether that was a big deal or overblown or whatever it was probably a good idea not to bring my little blonde head son over there. So I canceled the Istanbul part, which breaks my heart because I'm a big fan of Turkey. But we're going to fly ITA Airways over to Rome. And we're going to do Rome. And instead of going to Istanbul, we're just going to stay in Italy. We're going to do 5 nights at the Waldorf Cavalieri, which is supposed to be some aspirational big deal. We'll see. I don't know. But instead of going to Istanbul, we're going to go south down the Amalfi Coast and Positano and Sorrento and all that good stuff. But what I booked the other day was I had a huge difficulty getting home from Italy. I didn't want to take the train back to Rome because even with Rome, there are not really any great options for me. So I finally found a flight from Naples, which is in that same general area. It's Naples, Sorrento, Positano, just pretty close. So I booked Iberia Airlines from Naples to Madrid to JFK, which I've heard mixed reviews about Iberia business class, but it's a day flight. So how could it possibly be bad? It's it's enough space. So this is what I paid though. I thought it was really interesting. In case anybody didn't know this, all the Avios are 30% bonus with Amex right now. So this is a 30% boost. And I needed 3 seats, which is what kills me. But 49,000 Iberia Avios and about $180. So all in all, it was just under. Wait a minute, I messed my calculations up. It's 147,000 Avios and $566. And I figured that out to be with the 30% transfer bonus, 7 cents per point. And I know a lot of people don't like the cents per point stuff, but I only like it when it's good. I don't care if it's bad. I might not bring it up, but I don't mind booking a low value redemption because let's face it, 7 cents per point, but it's not like I'm flying Qatar Airways or something super nice. It's Iberia, but that's what I booked this week. And I think all in all, I did a pretty good job because coming back from Europe is a lot more enjoyable than the night flight over there for us. The night flight over there sucks. I don't think it matters what airline we fly. It's just not going to be that great. But coming back, and it's going to be another different carrier. So my goal was to get all these different carriers. That way, when we talk about it, I can say, "Hey, I flew that. I flew that," and actually have an opinion on it. See, Cesar says it's a little too hot. Filmo just hit us a 5 spot.
All right, Filmo.
All right, Filmo. Thank you, sir. We super, super appreciate it. So a lot of people are talking about possibly booking their Puerto Rico flights. That's going to be fun. Ricky's Travel Hacking said the hard product on Iberia was good. I've heard that. I've heard the soft product, not great. But like I said, man, as long as you have a really big seat and good movies, on the way back, it doesn't matter that much to me. And I'll be ready to go home.
Nice.
So I'm sorry. So yeah, that's what I booked. And I also booked the Hilton Sorrento, which if anybody's familiar with that part of Italy, go ahead and comment what you think of it. It's kind of like a resort town. So, this is the wife's dream place. I've been to Italy a bunch of times, so I don't really care that much.
Yeah, that sounds like a really great redemption, and we've never actually been to Italy ourselves. So hopefully one day we'll be able to look back at this and figure out what the good redemptions are and where to go.
We got to get Carlos in that Coliseum. We got to get him. We got to get him in the Gladiator Coliseum. So that's the. Okay, let's take one question here. George Morales, you guys answer this question, but I'm looking to get a hotel credit card. I don't know which one would be better for in-state and out-of-state stays. George, that's not really a question either one of us can answer. We got to have more from you. We are, most of us, and I know me and Stan are big fans of hotel credit cards. And correct me if I'm mistaken, but we're fans of big and small hotel credit cards. The $99 fee ones and the $550 fee ones. I mean, I think they're all good. Find the chain you want to stay at most, and then get the Hilton cards.
Yeah. No,
Because the
it's where you want to go and how many times you're going to be going there. It's kind of the biggest thing, right? And so if you find that you have a lot of high-end stays, that's everyone's personal favorite. But maybe you're in the Midwest or you're in somewhere that's more road trippy, and maybe it's better to do like an IHG or a Wyndham or Best Western or something like that for that. All I know. So
yeah.
it depends on your travel habits really specifically. And so if you like Luke said, if you know which chain you're going to be with, pick that one.
Yeah, and I will stand on this. And this is my opinion. Marriott, in my opinion, has the best properties. Hyatt has the best high-end status / program, but Hilton has the best credit cards, and I don't think any of those things are disputable or debatable. So if that factors in,
I agree with that sentiment. That sentiment is really good. I think you really hit it right on the head with those three statements.
Guys, we have my Filipino head of personal security, Glenn Ardonia, in the house. Everybody say hi to Glenn. Glenn is a Venture X guy. Yeah, he's a Venture X guy. He's a Vegas guy.
Love Vegas.
Yeah, he loved it so much he moved there.
You know, there was a Caesars down in New Orleans that I was able to go to for a little bit, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
I don't know if you ever get down there.
I don't. Oh, he went. He doesn't like it. Glenn does not like the New Orleans. He is on that camp that is like, no, we're not doing that. And I understand. MT gave us a super sticker. Thank you, sir. MT, if you are, sir. Most of us are here. But either way, I appreciate it. David says Italy, great. Pompeii, Vesuvius, Amalfi. Yeah, Turkey is a little bit sketched now. They have some issues, I think, that while I think that's a great place to visit, and I would have no problem visiting by myself, they may be on that list where it might not be worth it to take my family there right now, because let's be honest, they're not really interested in going anyway. It's Turkey. Okay, here you go, Stan. Let's come back to this one.
Let's circle back.
Eric, you will have a question about the Ritz-Carlton, so we're going to come back to that, all right?
Yeah.
And we're going to get on to our next. Whoops. Guys, I'm still getting the hang of this software, so.
Well, we can answer Eric's question now.
Okay.
And then we can go into our whole topic later on, but I think we can address it now.
Okay. So is it worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. I'll concede, because we have an argument here. I am team Marriott, Bonvoy, Brilliant, and Stan is hardcore Ritz card. So we talked about having sort of like a debate show, and this was going to be one of our first debates. So we thought it would be cool to kind of tease this. We're not doing questions with Carlos tonight, buddy. Look, if I call you, come on in here, okay? Sorry, guys. So we thought we would tease a sort of a like one of the sports shows on ESPN where you take a side. Obviously, it's going to be respectful. Obviously, we're trying to win a debate, but we're also not. We don't have enough skin in the game to lie or yell or scream. So Ritz card, Marriott, Bonvoy, Brilliant. I'll start it off, Stan, since you're my guest.
Okay,
and
fair enough.
I just want just a couple quick points. I'm going to tell you that two things matter the most to me when it comes to hotel credit cards. Hotel credit card points and status. The Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant is going to get me 185,000 Marriott points. The Ritz card is not going to give me a bonus at all. The Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant card is going to give me platinum status, which by all intents and purposes is the sweet spot for what you get for what you have to earn. So points and status, in my opinion, is where I'm going to start off why I think the Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant is better than the Ritz card.
All right. So you mentioned the welcome offer, which I'll give you. The Brilliant has a really good welcome offer right now. And, the standard offer is still somewhat good as well. But you do have to get the Ritz card a certain way, right? That certain way is through another card through Chase. So the Chase Bold, Boundless, or Bountiful cards. And so those do come with their own welcome offer. So even though it's not a part of the Ritz card itself, I would argue that you could use that welcome offer, compare that to the Brilliant as well. They're not going to be as good, obviously, but they're going to be there for you. Right. So that's one part of the welcome offer. I would also say I like to have good value for the lowest annual fee that I can. And the Ritz Carlton card still has that very low annual fee of $450 with that $300 annual incidental credit. Right. And, I talk about this credit in the sense that this is a special credit where you have to call someone to apply that credit. And I have a video on this coming soon, but essentially, because it's not an automatic credit, you can actually call in and I would just say make a convincing argument that a certain charge is applicable for the credit too. So it's actually more generalizable than just an incidental credit if you are able to explain yourself in a way that is able to let them apply that travel credit for you. Once you apply a travel credit, you're down to about $150 of net annual fee, and you get pretty much the same thing as the Brilliant card, but you don't get the platinum status. And one of my big beefs with Marriott is their status doesn't really help you that much, especially domestically. There's not a lot of upgrades. Obviously, you have the M Club or the Westin Club, whatever, with the platinum status. That's nice. But unlike Hilton, where the gold status gives you that food and beverage credit for every day, you're not guaranteed that at all Marriott properties. So it's kind of a hit and miss sort of benefit when you think about the platinum status to begin with. And so for those reasons, I like the Ritz-Carlton more. I still think it's worth it to go back to Eric's question. I would also say the priority pass is a big deal on the Ritz-Carlton card too. That's a thing that the Bonvoy Brilliant card doesn't have, and the Ritz-Carlton can actually be a surrogate CSR for that reason as well. And you can go into the priority pass benefits in a little bit, but that's another good reason to have that card too.
Oh, I think you make some really, really good points, but I would like to talk about those points. The credit is $300, and you mentioned you had to do what to get those credits? You
You
had
gotta
to
call
call
in.
someone on a phone?
On the
Oh,
phone, you gotta
no.
take it
So
out of your pocket.
yeah,
Start dial some
not
numbers.
happening. First off, that's not going to happen in my world. But the Bonvoy Brilliant also has a $300 credit, and it's
It
for
does.
dining. And you could just swipe that joker with the waitress. You don't have to call anybody. And you talked about how you do get a bonus, but you can't apply for this card. You're saying
You can't. You got a product change into it.
so you have to be approved for a Chase card, which is already restrictive. You have to wait a year, and we have to wait and make sure this card's still available, and then we can
Hold
get
on
it.
now. Hold on now.
That's
Who
tough.
says MX is not going to give you a little pop-up window giving you your bonus or not?
Good point. That's a good point.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But and the thing that's really indisputable is the Ritz card is cheaper. But let me ask you a very fair question. Did they redesign that card just a few months ago or maybe a year ago? Or not
Redesign mean
redesign it,
like
but
put it
they
back to
changed it
metal or something like that?
yeah, so they recognized that it was still available and people were still getting it. How long do you think that card is going to be $450? And here's my real question. If I were under 524, which this whole chat line's not, and I got the Marriott Boundless, and then I waited a year, you think I'm getting that card for $450?
It depends on what you're looking for. You have to start at that level, right? So you start off at
Right.
95, so you get that entry level card, and then eventually, if that's part of your plan, you can jump up to 450 if you wanted to.
What I'm saying though is, in the time it takes me to get under 524, apply for a card, wait another year, is that card going to be available for me at $450? There's no
We
way
don't
we
know.
could know, but
We don't know.
I'd really say there's no way you could say that's a favorable odds.
It's not, but we all gambling here. We're all gambling.
Right,
There's
yeah.
pop-up jail. There's like you may be rejected from Chase. There's all these things. Like you said, if you want to go for a card, go for it. But you're just got to start the timer at some point.
And I
I
also
would.
think the priority pass. How many cards do you have with priority pass?
I have 3.
I don't know how many I have, but the priority pass on that card, I'm not buying it. Like, and they
I'm
just
working.
nerfed it.
Well, I'm working on lowering it down so it's not overlapping as much. But you're right, Party Pass is on
Right.
a lot of different cards.
I
But
think
I
they're
like it
close.
because, well, the thing with the Ritz card, it's very similar to, so it's like the CSR Party Pass, but basically it's like the Venture X Party Pass in which you get unlimited, I don't know if unlimited, yes, but you get unlimited free authorized users on the Ritz Carlton card, which is pretty cool. And then
Yeah.
each authorized user gets their own Party Pass with unlimited guests on the Ritz Carlton card. One of the big draws for the Venture X is that free authorized user thing, but the
Mhm.
CSR doesn't have it. But the Ritz card does. And so that's a great way to get into that option. And those party passes have access to Sapphire Lounges, except for Austin Terrace. But like the other ones, they get. And
How
so
does
I
that
think
card
it's a
earn
really 4 points. Oh, it's
on
terrible. It's like
what?
6x
Yeah, so,
Marriott,
so
4x
you're never going to use
restaurant.
it. You're never
Oh, no,
actually going to use the
absolutely not.
card, right?
No, well, I'm very, very clear about my secondary setup, how I never use those cards for
Right.
spending. It's just for benefits. 85K for award, the instant credit, the priority pass. No, I'm the first to admit that the Rich Carlton and the Brilliant card, their earning rates are terrible. I mean, you might as well.
Yeah. I mean,
And I really like what JP Knowledge said about this actually in one of his videos, where if you use like a 3x card, like an Ink Preferred CSR or a Amex Green, and you can actually get a lot better value for staying at Marriott with that 3x multiplier because you can
sure.
transfer them out to Marriott if you want, or you could do it to some other place with 2 cents per point or higher.
Or
And
wait for a
so,
bonus.
right, exactly. And so there's no real reason to use the 6x multiplier on the Marriott cards, being that you already get like 10x for being a Marriott member, and like whatever your status is, titanium, platinum, you get like an extra boost or whatever. You get merit points from that anyways, but it's a matter of those merit cards aren't really meant for spending. They're really about trying to use them for their annual free night certificates is the biggest thing. And then trying to drop those annual fees down with the credits that you talked about. But obviously the
I mean,
Brilliant card, I have that card, and the monthly credits, it's kind of annoying. Like I put
it's
it in
another
my
monthly credit.
yeah, I put it in my like drawer for like a month, and it's or it's first. You get first of the month. Let's take it out again. Let's like go to the restaurant and like spend it on one thing. So like it's fine. It's not hard to use. So I'll give you that. It's still annoying that I take it out of my drawer and use it 12 times a year.
So the Ritz card has amazing protections. Like it's got the CSR, the same travel protections and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
And you're going to have to use it for at least a portion of your travel. Do you think that's a big deal, giving up earning real points for whatever that card might earn?
Well, here's the thing. Like yes,
It's only
the Ritz Carlton does have travel protections, but I have other cards like the US Bank Ultra Reserve that gives me travel protections anyways. So I use that card primarily for that, or I use a platinum because I have that at this point still too. I just don't use
do you
Ritz
value
Carlton.
the what do you call it, the standard, the whatever night credits towards status? Do you value those?
The elite
Are
night
you
credits?
working towards are you working towards Marriott status?
Um, I used to. I don't think I'm going to this year. I think if you want to do that, you have to have that combination brilliant and business together
Yeah.
to get those 25 plus 15 to get 40.
So the Ritz Carlton card doesn't give you any of that.
It does not give you. It gives you 15. I think it gives you something that
Okay.
you can't stack. It's not as good as a brilliant
Oh,
for sure. But once you get the brilliant card and you have platinum, unless you're going for titanium, there's no reason to care.
here's my last
You know.
knock on the Ritz card. This is my favorite knock.
Uh-oh.
Ritz Carlton doesn't abide by any Marriott status rules anyway. Like nothing. Like when you go to Ritz Carlton, they laugh at you for thinking they're a Marriott. So, but yeah, but obviously it's a great card. I do want to recognize Seabass for gifting 5 more memberships.
Woo!
Seabass is gonna, that Seabass has been a valuable. And George Morales gave us a $4 sticker. You guys are crushing it tonight, and I super appreciate it.
Yeah, we both appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Nubia Rising loves the debate. So, guys, and I think we kind of made our points with the debate, but this was just a sample of some of the things we want to do, and I think it's I think the way we can do it, we're not going to yell at each other because it's credit cards, right? But I think myself and Stan have enough similarities and enough differences to where we can probably do some of these fairly interesting debates or whatever. And guys, I think we have broken our record, 194, which I don't know if that's the high or not, but
you got to get to 200. Really, we're almost there.
Yeah, we need 200. I absolutely appreciate you guys for sure. And I
Yeah,
hope
thank
you
you
kind
so
of
much,
like that
everyone.
back and
Appreciate
forth.
that.
I
Yeah,
think
I
it's
think it's
fun.
great. It was fun. I mean, obviously, we have our differences, but if any of you in the chat have any ideas of what you want me and Luke to debate on, I know if you watch my channel, I prefer certain things. If you watch Luke's channel, he prefers certain things. And so I'm
Mhm.
sure a lot of you have good ideas on what we should debate on because I think, like you said, we have similarities but differences too in opinions. And so I think it'd be really fun to explore those in a friendly but spirited way.
Yeah, and I think it's important to let you guys know we will be coming up with these ideas, and but what we're not going to do is we're not going to be you know courthouse lawyers and spend 2 weeks researching every little thing, and we're trying to kind of go in the honor system of what we kind of know and make it. We're doing it live, so we're not trying to make it be some huge big production. We want it to kind of be you sit down to eat with somebody and talk shop and argue. Not argue, debate. We might do
Debate.
some arguing at some point. Fly
Yes.
with Rookie just hit us with another $2.
All
Good
right.
golly. Thank you, sir. Oh, and I almost forgot. Ryan Finn, like that name, just gifted a membership. Guys, there's memberships flying all around.
A lot of
James
memberships around
Ragland's in the
here.
house. James Ragland in the house. Here we go. Brilliant. It's great for people seeking value and guarantee platinum. But I will argue that the risk is good for loyalists that will dedicate their stays on Marriott for at least the next 2 years.
I'll have to
I
say the best thing is to get both. I'm not gonna like beat around the bush here because I have both and I think it's great. It's perfect,
If you're a
but
Marriott loyalist, yeah, you can't lose with those two. I mean,
you
two
know,
85,000 point certificates. Yeah, then you have $300 of food and $300 of travel credit. I mean, you're right. He wants us to debate the U.S. bar card. Which side are you going to be on?
I don't know. What do you think it's I'm gonna
I'm
be on?
I'm going
It's
to
only
say,
my
hey,
favorite card of all time.
I'm just going to say, hey, Stan, it's not as good as a no annual fee 5% cash back card. And then I'm going to close my
Mm.
MacBook.
Oh man, there's a big
That'll be
debate now
that'll
about
be
the
in one
5%.
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be
Yeah,
in
that'll
one
be
of them.
good. That'll be good. I like that suggestion. We'll definitely
Because
take that one up for
yeah,
sure.
I definitely think it's grossly overrated at this point, and it's probably Stan's fault. It's like it was not popular at all until Stan started talking about it.
I have a funny story about that now that you mentioned it. I was gonna put this in a video, but I'll just say it now for all you guys that are here. So my 1 year just came up on the US Bank Altitude Reserve card. People like Dugras and one of my viewers, RemGB, they've told me about the retention offer, how easy it is to get a retention offer on that US bar card. The value they quoted was 10,000 points. And so
Okay,
when I called to make my retention offer, they only offered me 1,000 points. And I was kind of like,
you start
really?
laughing.
Well, I was like, "Are there any other offers that you could offer me?" They're like, "No, it's 1,000 points." And I was like,
It's something.
"Okay." I know it's better than 0 points, but I
And
thought for the amount of time I've spent on this card, like advocating for it and like trying to say how good of a card it is, and they're like, "Here's your 1,000 points." And I spent like, a couple I spent a good amount of money on that card over the past
yeah.
year. So I figured it'd be somewhat reasonable, but I don't know. Maybe it's just they knew who I am and they knew it was going to cancel the card. I don't know what
Well,
what happened there.
what about the fact that you kind of had to ask for money because you have no way of making up that extra $75?
I guess so. Uh-oh. Okay. Fair enough.
I'm revealing some strategies here. I need to be quiet.
Uh-oh. No, it's
Yeah,
a it's
that'll
a
be in
good
the
card.
future, guys.
Yeah.
Anthony said he wanted us to do Marriott versus Hilton. I think that was on the list, right?
Yeah, we could do that. Just
Cashback versus
easy.
points. And here's the thing: the way we're going to do this, guys, is Stan doesn't necessarily have to be passionate about his side of the argument. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to work like that. Like he knows enough about both sides to put these ideas out there and get your guys' brains pumping. Because I always like to, especially when I hear the same thing over and over again, I like to kind of interject something. Hey, maybe look at it this way. And sometimes that's like, okay, now I see it, a couple different ways. But I hope you guys like that little sample. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
We're two
Yeah.
away from $200.
Oh gosh.
All
Awesome.
right. So okay, so we did what did you book? This I did want to talk about because we have somewhat different travel styles.
Mhm.
And I wanted to talk a little bit about how I am realizing that mine is changing fairly rapidly. and I
Mm.
mentioned it to you earlier when we were not actually live. Um, and I don't think I'm going to be flying economy anymore. And that sounds kind of foo-foo and uppity, but I want to explain. Um, if it's a 2 hour shot to Miami, I don't care what I fly. I'll fly with
Mhm.
the bags
Sure.
in the bottom or whatever. But yeah, I don't care. That's an easy ride. But I don't live in an area that has 200. We're good.
You
Hey,
This is a quick question. Just saw this. Do you think have you been on the new 737 800s, like the ones with the baggage on top where you can like put them horizontally and fit
yeah,
more bags on top? Do
yeah.
you think you could fit in one of those? I'm just curious.
No,
You
no,
think so?
I do. But anybody that's sitting next to me would say no because I still think I'm a 103-pound wrestler.
Okay.
So
I
so
think those are probably big enough to fit you. I think, but
they might be,
I
but
we'll
I
see.
think
I
I
don't
have
know.
body dysmorphia, so that might not be the best question for me.
Okay, sorry. That's a side tangent. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Well, just traveling. And I also want to talk about those airline cards and how this goes. The airline cards will give you certain benefits that are kind of like status. But if you're flying business class, none of that matters. If you're flying
Mhm.
business class, you don't. They already give you free check bags. They already sit you in the front and give you something to drink. And here's what would really. I've been thinking about this for about 6 months because we
Mhm.
have been hitting the traveling like once a month for like the last 2 3 years, and we've been hitting it hard, and we've been at kind of an unsustainable pace. Um, and I don't know why. Just because I'm one of those people. You might be the same way. If you get into something, you're 150 miles into it, miles an hour into it. You just get into it so
Mhm.
hard. So I've backed off a little bit. We're taking a little bit of break. And I don't want to sound uppity, but I don't think that domestic economy is for me anymore. That New
Mhm.
Orleans trip was the straw that broke the camel's back. If I have to connect, I'm not sitting in row 23 to wait for all these poo-poo heads to get off the bus before I can go use the bathroom and go to the lounge. Not doing that
Mm.
anymore. And so we were
What
talking
was your
before.
route back from New Orleans?
Atlanta. We connected in Atlanta, which I've heard people complain about the airport in Atlanta, and I don't have complaints there. There's 8 sky clubs. I mean, there's one right next to your. There's always one right next to you, and they are crowded sometimes, but that's just part of the business. But uh, the connection um, in economy is something I'm not interested in dealing with anymore. Now, what I do
Mm.
have to worry about is how do I travel? What do I do with Cardos? Because my philosophy has always been we have to fly economy because we have to stay grounded and stay
Mhm.
normal. And so that's something I have to figure out. But I am not interested in flying economy domestically anymore. So I
Mm.
think I will even go so far as booking stuff through the portal before I pay for economy domestic stuff, unless it's
Mm.
direct. Don't get me wrong. If I'm going to, I do have a ton of credit with Southwest. So if we go to Orlando, I'll sit in between some two giant people in Southwest. But for the most part, and I guess my question is, you're not a spring chicken. You're not the youngest guy around.
Mm.
So do you see yourself kind of changing that travel uh, uh, style at all? And I know you fly a lot of Southwest, but
Yeah, so I have the analog to that in hotels. We'll get to that later. But for airlines, this is the way I stance, and I discuss it with my wife actually quite often. So my wife and I we're average to smaller people, I would say. So I'm like what 5'9" ish, and like she's like low fives, and so we are actually pretty small. And so when we flew in economy, and I like looked at her over in the window seat, and I was in the middle seat, like we had about 6 inches or more away from the seat in front of us in economy because we're not tall, we're not like big, we're not like Daniel Braun or Spencer Johnson who are they have
Daniel
big
Braun was
legs,
way taller than I thought. He's
Yeah, yeah.
huge.
He's very, very tall guy. So I can see when you're a taller person or, for example, a more, muscular person, more built person, how that could be very uncomfortable, especially for something like a transcontinental flight, right? That would be a lot to do. If it's like an hour or two, okay, you can kind of deal with that. But over that I can see why. But I told my wife, I was like, you know what, we if we go to like first class or business class, it's gonna be a great experience. But we're gonna fit up half the seat. Like we're not even gonna take up the whole seat because we're such small people. And so then the question becomes, do we continue doing the first class, business class, or do we do the economy class stuff? And so I think I'll have a decision for you after I fly on our honeymoon and see what that's all about. Because I've actually never flown, international first, international business before. So that'll be a
I'm
good
willing
new
to
thing
bet
for
that
me.
the more you fly with your wife, the more likely you're going to want to move up front because it does change the game a little bit for a
Mhm.
lot of different reasons. One, you're in being in the points and miles game, you have the means to sit up front. And let's just establish
Yeah,
that right there. You
sure.
can sit up front. If you want to be super frugal and sit in the back, great. And the space for me is not that big of a deal. I'm only 5'9" as well, and I'm
Mhm.
not long. So, and honestly, I'll spill over into the aisle. I don't care about the space as much.
Mhm.
It's sitting by a stranger, sitting in cattle class. Um,
Mhm.
when the plane lands, I see 3 or 4 guys run past me. Just the whole process. I'm not interested in doing that anymore. And it's
I
really
see.
with the connecting flights. It's a even the flight connection in Atlanta, it makes for a fairly long day. And I'm at
Yeah,
the
it
age
sure
where
is.
I need to make those longer days more comfortable. And yeah, just I'm just getting old and crotchety, I guess. Old and grouchy.
Well, the convenience factor does play a role for sure, especially with the connecting flights. Luckily for myself, like we have access to like not only Ontario but Los Angeles Airport too, and so we try to fly nonstop when we can to many places
Hmm.
for the sole reason of we hate connecting flights. It's
Sure.
just for the reasons you just described. So we actually would pay a little more to do nonstop than to do a connecting flight if we had the choice. Sometimes it's
Absolutely.
not feasible, but like we've noticed that as we've grown older, instead of trying to get like a flight that goes to like, you're going from LA to Boston, you're gonna go from LA to like Denver, then to Chicago, then to Philadelphia, then to like, you could do that for like $99, but it's gonna be
Sure.
sucky the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Or you just do LA to Boston and just be done with it, right? And so that's kind of like what our thought process is like from that perspective. That's how we've changed our travel patterns. But for us, I think we'll probably stick in the economy. But for hotels, that's changed as I've grown older.
See,
So I
I
don't know if you want
waffle
to.
on that. I like to hear
Yeah.
so you're gonna go, you need the higher end action.
So the thing is, like, I don't know. There's something about staying in a courtyard versus staying in a Westin that I have found to be so different. So the example I will always bring up is when we go to Los Angeles Airport, we typically want to go there like the night before because the flights are pretty early. And if it's a weekday, it's bad traffic, so it's just not worth like driving the whole way there from where we live. So we stay at a hotel beforehand, and so we used to always stay at a courtyard, and those courtyards are fine. The beds are fine, but when you go to like a Westin, you stay there, you're like, wow, this bed is just way better. You get much better rest, much better sleep. And you know about sleep because you and I both try to prioritize sleep as best we can. Because if you have
100%.
good sleep, like you could do a lot that day and be really active, for whatever you want to do. So I think I've just noticed that I've really gravitated towards more of those higher end hotels because you just get much better sleep and the room is just so much nicer. Waldorf Astorias, for example, Ritz Carltons, I am more apt to do that. But also, because I'm older, I have more disposable income to do that. When I
Mhm.
was back in college, just like when you were, or in the military, or what have you, you're sleeping on floors and you're waking up and it's fine, right? I did that. It was totally fine. It was free, you know.
Absolutely.
You save money. But then, there's a certain time in your like, late 20s, early 30s where just you do that and like your back hurts and it like hurts for a long time. And so then you realize you gotta be on a couch or like some
Yeah.
kind of like, two futon or something to at least give you some support. But now I'm at the point I think where I do well, I can still sleep on a couch and like be okay with it. If I had the choice to get a nice bed, I would 100% take that and pay that over not.
I'm with you. I want to recognize Erica for giving us a 5 spot. And
Well, Erica, thanks
Erica,
so much.
she's preaching to the choir, man. She says, once you go international business, you don't go back. And listen, we did our very first international redemption to Dublin in Comfort Plus. That was the last time we did anything other than business class. You're right,
Mm.
Erica. It's business class. Or we don't go, or we'll just wait and save up.
You know what I'm super pumped for, by the way, is that I'm going back home from Boston, back to LA, and I'm flying on the new JetBlue Mint. Uh,
Okay.
business class. So that is going to be
Awesome.
cool because I've never tried that before. But there's like two different kinds. I think there's like the JetBlue Mint that's like the 1-2-1 where it's more like a flat back. But the new ones on the new planes, they have it so it's diagonal, like you would expect. So each row has one person instead of two people on it. So you get a
I
whole row
like
to
that.
yourself. So we'll
Yeah, and I've also
definitely
seen a lot
reporting
of
that one
different
too.
ways a lot of new ways, or not new, but I discovered some newer ways to book JetBlue. There's
Hmm.
a few different, and I can't, for some reason, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but like Qatar, Avios, and there's a few other ways you can book JetBlue. So that's really interesting. But just like you said with the hotels, I get kind of torn with that because I have a couple different reasons why I have to go big on hotels.
Yeah. Before we
One,
get to that, Michael Wong just said he actually flew JetBlue Mint Studio from JFK to SFO.
oh
So
wow,
definitely check
that
that video out when it comes out because I want to see that because I thought about the studio. It was a $200 upcharge, and I was like, I'm by myself. I don't think I need that, but it's a cool thing, you
treat
know.
yourself. Treat yourself, man. Etihad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Etihad, you can
All right.
book it.
Okay. Good. So
But yeah,
just.
the hotels, this is my main reason,
Mhm.
my main motivation for booking higher end hotels. Stan, I'm not the best husband in the world. So
Mm.
so I have to find ways to make that up. So
I see. Fair
so
enough. Okay.
if I can at least chip away at that, the gigantic suite we had in Cancun, that was for
Mm.
my wife.
Mm.
The Conrad in Fort Lauderdale, it's for my wife.
Mm.
Just and the other part I think I value with hotels is when it's all three of us. For me, it's
Mhm.
always going to be worth a suite because there's three of us, and mom and dad
Right.
want to have a good time, just like Carlos wants to have a good time. So it's for me, it's always going to be worth it to spring for a bigger room that might have some kind of separation. Now, if it's just me, I can go stay at the Holiday Inn. Don't care.
Mm.
But that's also not to say that's what I do. I book
Yeah.
I book nice stuff for myself as well. But
Yeah.
if it was coming out of cash money, Luke is probably staying at the Best Western. I
Mm.
mean, a nice one, but a Best Western. But yeah, I definitely have, and I also do the vacations where sometimes your vacation is I'm going to this destination and I'm going to do a million different things around town. That's awesome. Sometimes for us, our vacation is we're going to fly to this place and we're going to lay around for 3 days. We're not going to
Mhm.
do anything. And in that case, I want a nice room.
Yeah.
John
That's good
R.
planning.
likes to
And
treat himself. Oh, JP Knowledge, the
JP
man.
Knowledge.
Favorite way to go is JetBlue. You flew it home
All
from
right.
Boston. Okay.
Very cool. Probably gonna
Yeah.
take the same flight as me.
Don't care. There you go, buddy.
He just loves IHG.
Francisco says, just put me up, man. Make it
I
clean and
think
comfortable and quiet.
it comes back to the whole debate between do you value airline versus hotel more? I think that's kind of what it comes down to too, because I personally value hotel more. I know that you typically go outside and you travel and you like look at things and you don't spend a lot of time in a hotel, but even when you do that, it is so nice to come back to a really nice luxury hotel where the air conditioning's blowing, there's like free water and snacks and whatever, and you go
Yeah.
up to your room and it's huge and like there's plenty of space and
It's a
all that fun
balcony.
stuff. Balcony, yeah,
There's with a view. Oh
all the
yeah,
good
come on.
stuff. There's just something really nice about that in hotel. For airlines though, for me, like I said, I'm not a big guy, so like flying economy, I can like manage 5-6 hours, in economy. I don't know, maybe even 12 hours. Not 12 hours, but like we'll see. I have to do that to remember what that was like. But I think I would if I were to choose, I would definitely choose having a nicer hotel versus the first international class business class flight.
I, I'll do you one up, man. I'm not choosing. I'm not in this game to
Mm,
choose. And
there you
I've
go.
said that's a joke. It's a joke when I say it, but listen, I don't deserve to live like that. I deserve to sit up front, be the first dude off that plane, and have somebody there to pick me up and take me to my suite. I
Well,
don't deserve to live like that, man. I'm not choosing.
you've paid your dues, so I think you're at that time in your
Yes.
life where you deserve that. I think I'm still working for mine. I'm not quite there yet. I'm
Well, I'm not.
I'm,
I'm
I'm
done
working there.
choosing, man. We'll stay on. I'll stay my monkey ass at home if I have to choose.
Yeah, I
Okay.
say that now though. Once I get that first class international flight, I'll be like, never going back.
It's tough to
So
go
we'll
back.
see.
It is
Yeah,
it is
we'll
so
see.
tough to go back because you're treated like a person. You're not treated as
That must be nice.
a
Wonder what that's
cargo.
like. Yeah,
Yeah. In the
I'm
back,
a
you're cargo. In
Southwest
the front,
guy.
you're
Yeah,
well.
I get on the bus 4 times a month, so toot toot.
Wow. Erica Goldberg says she flew Q suites from Chicago to Doha to Singapore. That is an amazing
Very
flight. That was her
cool.
favorite flight ever.
Very nice.
I did Chicago to Doha to Dubai. And the significance of that is when you do that route on Q suites, the Doha to Dubai is first class because they don't have a business class. Doesn't sound like any difference, and it's not, but that makes you qualified to go to the Al Swafa first class lounge in Doha, which is a big, huge deal. So if you ever get a chance to go to that I think it's called Al Swafa, big, huge deal, man. That first class ticket gets you in there. It's not this, there's no buffet. They give you real food. You sit down, there's water fixtures and all these crazy things, and they take care of you. It's a really cool experience.
Nice.
Yeah, JP says he values the hotels more, but the cost to fly premium is significant. And you're right. Here's another thing about the flights. I've said a million times, most of my trips are shorter than the average person's. I'll go to Germany for 4 days, so I'll go really far for just 3 or 4 days. So when I do that, it has to be in some kind of comfort because as soon as I hit, I'm going. I got to pack a lot of stuff in 3 days to get back. I can't just lay around. So that's a big deal for me. Oh, sorry. John R's only at his hotel for the essentials.
The only essentials. That's right. I mean, that's cool. That's the way to do it if you're traveling all day outside and you're cool with coming back to like a hotel just to do those essentials.
And like he
So
says, different with the family. Listen, when you're the dad in a family, you have to plan for the contingencies for the exhaustion and the belly aches or the everybody has a bad, like if we go somewhere for 5 days, everybody will have a bad day once. So you need to have that big time room, some comfort to help that person get through that one day. Most of the time it's me. So so you have to plan for that because a angry spouse or an angry child can put a damper on things.
Sure. Also, looking up all that luggage up those stairs in Amsterdam, right?
Luckily, my wife is in way better shape than me. She can just run up the stairs with suitcases.
All right.
Yeah, that was crazy. Well, Stan, I think we're close to being done here. We didn't get to a ton of questions. But again, guys, when in this kind of format, we weren't really planning on focusing on the questions as much. We tried to get to as many of them as we could, but we kind of wanted to get our 4 or 5 topics out. And I hope you guys liked it. I know we had a lot of people. We still have a lot of people. These lives get bigger as the night goes on, but I turn into a pumpkin. So sorry, guys. But
yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. Definitely we'll do a lot more of these for sure.
Son Gwynn just hit us with a 5 spot. He's
my boy Son.
That US
All
bank. Yeah, that US bank card. We'll go over that when it comes out. It gets more solidified, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's hard to tell right now because there's such few information about it, but it's starting to come together. We'll kind of see what US Bank does with it, and then we'll kind of go over it for sure.
Yeah. So, guys, you could be anywhere, and you're here with us, and I can speak for Stan that we super appreciate everybody that stopped by, especially with the hiccup, especially with that first 20 minutes where we were just talking to each other, but I promise that will never happen again. Something else will, but that won't.
Funny.
So
it was a dry run. So it's fine.
Yeah, first time, guys, man.
Yeah.
So Stan, do you have any parting shots for these guys?
No, just keep learning, keep traveling, keep doing what you do. We love this community. We love talking to you guys. It's a real pleasure to be on Luke's channel and to definitely, check out his stuff if you haven't. Can't imagine if you have not or not already, but if you haven't, definitely check him out. We had a lot of great questions today and some good topics, and we'll try to give you some more topics in the future and try to do some good debates, good lively style debates to make sure that we really get you some perspective on your favorite topics. So definitely just let us know, about those topics when you can. We had some in the comments already, which we'll already mark down. But no, I'm looking forward to having this series. And it's going to be a really good, fun time for both of us and all for you guys as well.
Yeah, I think he said it best. In one of these future debates, I'm going to convince Stan to get the Avianca Life Miles card.
Ooh, okay.
I have
I
it.
like to see you do that.
I think that one slept on a little bit. I seriously think it slept on, and I think I can put it in a good enough light that some people might get some benefit out of it. But
That's like me trying to convince you to get a Bank of America card.
oof, do I have any? I just canceled one.
Yeah.
I
You have the
canceled
British
the
Airways, right?
Air France.
Air France. Oh, okay.
I
Oh,
just
British Airways is
canceled
another one,
the
sorry. Air France.
yeah, I just canceled the Air France. And I still have the Alaska business card.
Okay.
So no real Bank of America cards just yet.
Well,
All right,
until we get
guys,
this
it
going.
is 8:38. We do not have questions for Carlos today. But next time, maybe we'll get him in here. I think he's been missed out on the last couple of them. He's really itching to go. So if you could think of any questions for Carlos, have them loaded in the chamber. And with all that, guys, I hope you have a great night. And I want to thank Stan for coming on the channel and breaking my record. And
All right,
we'll
thank
see you guys soon.
Take care, guys. Have a good day.